Hello. Welcome to another episode of CRT Sound System. We've got a big one. Episode
Yeah.
100.
What?
Hi, Reese.
Jesus, 100 episodes. Wow.
Yeah, pretty
Hi,
fucking
Tom.
wild. Yeah. We were sorry. I didn't really know what to do. I thought about a lot of different things, and I thought it would be really fun because we've discussed a couple of different options, and just thought it'd be really fun to do Final Fantasy 13-2 again.
Yeah,
So here we are listening to some Final Fantasy 13-2.
that's right. Final Fantasy 13-2-2 is our
Yeah,
100th episode extravaganza.
yeah.
And I think it's earned it, and I think that it's I've been playing some of it sort of like in preparation, and I only feel more secure that it's earned it. It's definitely a game th- whose soundtrack like makes it feel like incredibly large and weird and fun.
It's
Um,
so yeah. Like I've it's been a long time since like it's not only like 100 episodes, but what, nearly 4 years now.
yeah,
Like 4 years in October was when we did the first episode, and like, so I God only knows what I actually said on that episode, but like this is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Final Fantasy soundtracks, and like, uh, it's one of those soundtracks that, as often is the thesis statement of the show, it just like it elevates the game so much. Like it just really provides such an excellent backdrop, and like yeah, it's just a real fun time. Like the music is really fun, the vocals are excellent, like they've got really like a lot of really varied vocal tracks. Like that opening track with vocals by Origa, who is just like an absolute fucking goat. If you listen to like video game music or anime music between like 2005 and 2015 when she died, RIP. Like if you listen to that stuff, like you heard her in everything. She was in the Ghost in the Shell soundtrack. She was on this. Um, the bunch of other stuff as well. Like you can go through the list. Like there's a shit ton of stuff that she's been on soundtracks for. Mostly did a lot of work with Yoko Kanno, who like produced her albums and stuff as well. Like so, there's like she's got like some solo albums that are like really. If you're like a Yoko Kanno fan and you like Yoko Kanno's music, that is a good way to get more Yoko Kanno music without knowing that it's her, because like she produced a bunch of her albums in like the mid 2000s. Um, but yeah, like yeah, Final Fantasy. What's your? You hadn't played it the last time at all, had you? Did you even play
no.
the first Final Fantasy 13?
I played the first Final Fantasy 13, and I kind of have. I think, its history has been hard on Final Fantasy 13, although its flaws are certainly they've got the core of the flaws correct. Is that sort of like
Yeah.
the endless tutorial gets
Oh
very
boy.
frustrating and boring, and just sort of like the forever corridor, where you're not there's barely ever a branching path.
Yeah.
Feels it's just feels silly after a while, and that makes it so like all you
Yeah.
have is the story, which I think is good, but it doesn't come off well at the beginning
Mm.
with the English dub. Which, sorry to those hardworking actors, but I think that Vanille and a couple of others didn't get strong voice direction, so they're just kind of
Yeah.
like they're
Quite
doing very
flat.
kind of like broad animated. I'm a broad animated guy who snowboards. I'm Snow,
Yeah.
and I think that doesn't do it any favors. But I do
Yeah.
think that it gets there, and I think that it's a proper Final Fantasy. Like in the end, sort of
Yeah.
like what defines the series, I think, especially past the sort of like more classic like roots in the Nintendo and Super Nintendo days,
Mm.
is sort of like the big swings they've taken.
Mm.
Not content to sort of just be like big bespoke RPGs, but sort of like trying to change it up every Final Fantasy, either in style or gameplay or tone.
Yeah.
And that's what makes, I think, 13-2 special. One of the many reasons is because I feel like I don't know if they necessarily listen to criticism, but there is a degree of self-awareness there where at the beginning of the game they immediately dispense with the corridor type gameplay. Like
Yeah.
very early on, you're kind of like have this choices of where to go and side quests, and it's all
Mm.
made that much more kind of bombastic because you're choosing like different timelines and alternate universes of the same areas to
Yeah.
explore. And it definitely does not tutorialize the combat. Like right off the bat, you have to do the team switching mechanics to kind of like, and it makes it more complex because you have to summon these monsters to be your sort of third medic or ravager or
Yeah.
whatever role. And they're you have to keep kind of like summoning better and better ones, and they have different attributes. So it makes it works to make that not static right
Yeah.
off the bat. And I just fought Caius for the first time, who I think is the big villain.
Yeah.
Certainly is presented that way now. And
Yeah, it
he,
does. The game doesn't really do anything. Sort of. It does. It doesn't like you get to the end and there is like one of those classic Final Fantasy here now I'm the real villain type situations. But
yeah.
like, he is the villain through the game and is a very good villain. I think
Oh,
like
yeah, yeah.
he's an interesting character. Just in terms of how he sort of presents himself as a foil to Noel in particular, just like their dynamic and their relationship, I think is really really interesting throughout the game, and as that develops, yeah, it's a really good, a really well written sort of sort of tragic story of like of two men who love the same woman and like how their reaction to a tragedy sort of manifests differently, and I think that's
Yeah.
really cool. Um, Sort of like a cool thing to explore in a game. Um, but yeah, like you mentioned how sort of Final Fantasy 13 has gotten a bad rap historically, and it is deserved. Like I don't want to be like I don't want to say it's good actually, because I think that the parts where it's bad, are people are very right about the reasons that it's bad and everything. But like I just think that the good parts of the game for me outweigh those bad parts.
Immensely,
I
yes.
like it's so mechanically dense. I love the battle system. It's so like, and I think that's part of why I love 13-2 even more, was because like it takes that core battle system and just like strips away a lot of the faff. It doesn't have like the summons or anything like that, and it's just like here's the core battle system. The like the people got a bit annoyed at it being like auto battle-y, which like if you don't like that, fair enough. But like managing the rhythm of the ATB in that in it is so good. Like because there's tricks you can do to like get extra turns if you time things right, and if you're canceling moves at the right time to make sure your ATB is filling up at specific moments. Like there's things like, and it is kind of essential to beat the final boss when you get there, because like you just have this thing of like you don't have enough turns to beat it unless you know how to actually use the battle system properly, and that is really fucking cool. Like it's not just one of those like you often get to at the end of a Final Fantasy or any sort of RPG, and if you're sufficiently leveled, you can just fucking stomp the final boss.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to do that in this game just because you've got a level cap, and like you can be super leveled. You can have the best chocobo as your healer or whatever. You've got like you can have that all trained up, but like if you do not know how to work the battle system, you will eat shit every time.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful. I love that.
It's really interesting. Like the game rewards like going in and reading the different skills you're getting from the Crystarium sort of
Mm,
skill tree thing. And it's sort of like going in and reading there, I was like, oh, okay. I think it's Ravager who gets a bonus if she's focusing on something that is not focusing her. Something like that. I'd have
yeah,
to review. And
yeah.
so
There's a bunch of stuff like that. Yeah,
and so it makes it so if you're organizing your groups, because you have three different teams that you or six different teams you can switch between,
yeah,
and each one sort of presents these opportunities to to get an edge on the enemy, right? And sort of like it's stuff like, okay, we're all going to be focused in doing single target damage on one guy in this team, and in this team, that's sort of like we're healing but still working on our chain, which is how you get these staggers. And it's basically it's creating these distinct windows where you're either buffing or debuffing or healing or trying to go all out damage once you have the stagger. And sort of like it really seems like the enemies have distinct phases where doing something specific is quite rewarding. So it's like after the first stagger with the first Caius fight, he starts he puts on like a powerful regen and all of these sort of like really dangerous buffs, and sort of like it becomes really worth it to learn how to buff yourself and debuff and when is the best time to apply those to Caius and yourself, and then sort of like create your discrete damage phases, create your discrete I just need to turtle for a second while I right the ship sort of teams. And this is like very early on in the game. I'm chapter 3 and I feel like I was in the last third of the game, and kind of like well into the last third of the game before it started to get hard in 13. And it just speaks so, and it makes 13-2 feel so good because you're engaging with it on a level you weren't before. And that's where the music kind of like comes in, is that you're really engaged with the game, and sort of like it always sneaks up on me in this game where I'm sort of listening to it and I'm just sort of like, this song has been playing for like 3 minutes and we've just like cut into this section that's absolutely fucking banging, and I'm just like staring at the menu for Noel, and it's, I don't know, it's just really fun. You heard it in the last track, which was the sort of like the universe select menu, where just sort of like 3 minutes in, there was just sort of like this entirely new breakdown.
It just breaks down. It goes to double time, and it's like,
which and you'd have to spend you have to kind of like really be spending time in the Historia Crux menu to even hear that. You have to really be like looking at how many fragments do I need here, where do I need to go. It's not something you'd hear the first time because there's not a reason to be in that menu for 3 minutes for a while.
Yeah, I memean, as I was saying, like I would often just sort of let that sit there, just listening to that song because it is great. Yeah, like I just to go back to the linearity of Final Fantasy 13 as well, and I do think that's such an interesting sort of thing that people latched onto, because like I remember with Final Fantasy 10 it was the same. Like people were so annoyed that there wasn't a real like world map in that game. And like it just replaced that with just like selecting stuff from a node, and like that's like a completely fair critique of the game, but like it feels like people just completely forgot about that when 13 came out as well, and they were like, oh, now this time it's the problem. But like it's such an interesting sort of like illustration of the illusion that video games create when you play them. Like you play Final Fantasy VII, and despite the fact that like it is like it's a relatively small and empty world, like you just have these essentially map nodes that you walk between, and you have to do battles rather than anything else. And like just the fact that it has that presentation makes it feel like such a bigger world. And like same with obviously Final Fantasy 8 and 9 and any games that have that sort of their own world maps that like while you can explore them, they are relatively sort of sparse. And like in stripping that away and just sort of going like, well, no, here you just get the nodes themselves. You don't get to explore anything in between, even if there's nothing in between except for a couple of random battles. Like just stripping that away and sort of ending up with that framework rather than having it be something that is like, as I say, creating an illusion of a world is like, it is so interesting how that is different, even though ultimately the linearity is more or less the same. Like you're pretty much railroaded in Final Fantasy VII to do up until the end of the game to do the exactly what the game is telling you to do, and the same with any of the other Final Fantasies. But because it sets out to actually create the illusion of this world for you, it doesn't feel like that's what it's doing at all. And I think that again is just such a really interesting way that we sort of view video games like that.
Absolutely. I think it's the sort of sketched out nature of it doesn't matter if it's consistent, because I feel like, I call it, like, say, like, the maps are much less corridor focused, much more open, but that really, like, boils down to is that there are, like, between 4 to 6 forks in the road along the
Mm-hmm.
way. Like, it's not like a mind-blowing maze. Maybe there's a couple more complicated ones as time goes on, but it's still not an open world, but it feels so much better than 13, just because that element is sketched out better. And I think it's so interesting, especially because, like, where the technology was at the time. They really, we're still kind of in our own dark video game realism hell, but they were really trying to push that on the 360. And so they, like, it was way more important to have a bunch of small worlds that, like, looked incredible than it was to have the sort of, like, a bit more sort of, like, workman-like huge open world. And it's a sort of thing like with walking simulators, right? Is that people say, they come to games and stuff for the story or the visuals and stuff like that. But unless there is, like, a C grade Fire Emblem bolted on, they're gonna revolt at the walking simulator just because there's no gameplay.
Yeah,
And I'm not even necessarily slagging it. I just think that sort of, like, that's the reality of video games, is that you need to be
yeah.
able to
I mean, the
construct the
illusion
art
is
of.
it's like you need to have that illusion constructed for you, or else you're like, yeah, because it's, that, yeah, that's a whole sort of rabbit hole you could go down, I think, as well, and just sort of in how games sort of create that illusion or whatever. But, yeah, it is interesting as well that you're sort of like in talking about the way games are made at the time as well, and that like, and even just like this as a response to like 13 being such a massive, massive game and being such a massive undertaking for Square. It was like the first proper HD game they did. They like did a custom engine for it, and like this is a big problem. I think I remember reading this about like how a lot of Japanese studios really struggled with the move to HD because they didn't sort of take on the thing of Western studios did of like using a lot of middleware, like your physics engines and your game world engines that were already made, and then just like bolting your game onto those. I know that I'm oversimplifying, but like, a lot of these games use custom engines, which is obviously just a massive amount of extra dev time as you get into the HD era. So like, even just the existence of this as like a reason to reuse that engine, and reuse all of those assets that they made, is a very interesting sort of encapsulation of like of what the realities of making a Final Fantasy game at the time were. And even just like the whole, like you get the feeling with this game, and especially with Lightning Returns, that like in any other era of Square's sort of history, they would have just been a weird side game, like a saga game or something like that. But because they had to sell a X amount of copies, they're just bolting on Final Fantasy onto these games. And
Yeah.
like obviously like that's not, they weren't just going, this isn't a completed game, we'll call it a Final Fantasy. Like these were started off as Final Fantasy games, but like these sort of weirder projects that you would get from Square in the mid '90s, like your Saga Frontiers or your like Vagrant Stories, your Valkyrie Profiles and stuff like that. Like those didn't get to exist just due to the financial and economic realities of the early 2000s for Square. So they were like, well, if we want the weird games to exist, they have to be weird Final Fantasies.
Yeah.
Which you just ended up with a lot of kind of odd little games like this, or like Four Warriors of Light, or and even like up to like Theater Rhythm and stuff like that. Like I feel like that is a product of that sort of mindset coming to fruition as well. Um,
Absolutely. I mean, I think part of, you can feel Square's struggle with this era of Final Fantasy games, also in its sort of like or starting to open up their catalog to PC. And I'm not sure how long after the console released it came out on PC, but like the PC release is shocking for
it's real
like
bad.
for a AAA studio like this, and it just really feels like they were in an era where they just did not have any respect for the platform really, but the sort of like there were these new demands that had to be made, and you have to install like at least like 4 mods, and still it crashes.
Yeah.
And it's still, I'm just like, well, we've been playing a while. I bet after this cutscene where they introduce the boss, the game is just gonna like very gently just stop existing. Um, and it's just a sort of thing where it's just like, and they've never gone back to fix it because sort of like that would be such a huge undertaking. And what's really funny about the PC release is that the version that you can buy on the Microsoft Store supposedly works insanely better than the Steam version, just because it's sort of like, yeah, it was sort of more developed for more official platforms, and we just sort of like shit this out on Steam because we had to. Um, anyways, just it's a fascinating relic and a great game. And it's the sort of thing that's really it was a little bit of a joke with Final Fantasy X2, but X was so good. And 2 had such a like fun idea that you could sort of
I
like
love 2
easily
so
get into
much.
it.
Yeah.
But 13-2 is like a joke, is just sort of like, I don't know, it's like on the level of just being like, we're making Ishtar 2 or something like that. But it's
Yeah,
great.
like yeah, it is interesting, just like, yeah, because like what do they call it, the Nova Crystallis, that like when they originally announced 13, it was going to be like 6 different games, and one of those ended up just being Final Fantasy 15 in the end. um so like, yeah, it was just yeah, the whole thing with Final Fantasy 13 is kind of a mess in general. And like, uh I think 13-2 is about as good of a game as you could get, considering the circumstances
Mhm.
of its creation. It's very silly in a lot of places. Like the story is kind of silly, but it also it takes itself serious in a way that I think sort of gives it some gravity that is interesting. And you have just this weird, like, you have the Sarah storyline, where like that her like that whole her whole deal of like just going through time and basically being a time cop with Noel. And then like you've got this side story then where Lightning's sort of fighting against gods in Valhalla kind of thing, and like that then sort of carries through to Lightning Returns, but doesn't really impact the story too much until like later. Um, and then like 2 isn't super important to what happens in Lightning Returns, because Lightning Returns happens like at the end of time essentially. It's a bit of a fucked timeline, but like it's a
Yeah.
really sort of
Well,
go on, yeah.
13 doesn't really have that much. I mean, it's like the inciting incident for 13-2 is like, this
Mm,
crazy thing happened, and this one thing. I mean, I guess Sarah being trapped in the crystal is sort of like the inciting incident, as it
yeah.
were, and sort of like, and so it creates like a lot of backstory, and sort of like creates this relationship, but it's not like they're never like thinking back to the events of 2. They're just like, oh
Mm,
yeah, that's where I met Snow. And there'll be like sometimes there's flashbacks, but it's more to underscore the sort of like the thematic nature of memory in the game than it is
yeah.
like we were bringing a bunch of lore. um the lore is much more rooted in the multiverse and sort of like tracking these different uh, sort of butterfly effects that occur.
Yeah. Yeah, it's it's an interesting thing. I like it ends up sort of being because of that sort of quite like the stakes are kind of low, even though there is like this whole thing of like time is going to end if we don't stop what's happening, but like you don't feel that from the way the characters react to events. Which is it's just kind of interesting. But I guess they've already been through a sort of a weird apocalypse previously. Um, yeah, so it's and I say there's an interesting relationship to memory in the game as well, which is like the way you sort of see the flashbacks with Caius and Noel and stuff like that as well. But yeah, we'll jump into the first block of tracks here.
Yes.
So just again to remind people, if you haven't listened to the first episode in a while, the soundtrack was done primarily by Masashi Hamauzu, Mitsuto, Suzuki, and Naoshi Mizuta, who were sort of like the apprentices to Nobuo Uematsu. They did a lot of stuff with him on the soundtrack for 10. Hamauzu's done a couple of like the Saga games that were coming out around on the PS2 era, and like a lot of them did like side games and other games for Square. But like this was the first game that they all did. Or sorry, the Final Fantasy 13 trilogy is the ones like they sort of did all of the music for all three games. All three soundtracks absolutely slap. Like they're great, but this is my favorite of the three. But yeah, so we've by Masashi Hamauzu, we have Hope's theme. By Naoshi Mizuta, we have Yeul's theme, vocals by Joelle, or Joelle, I'm not too sure. Then by Mitsuto Suzuki, with vocals by Origa, we have Parallel Worlds. Then we have Academia by Masashi Hamauzu, and Hollow Seclusion Game Over by Mitsuto Suzuki. And then we have a remix of Starting Over, which is a track that we played on the first soundtrack. I'm trying not to overlap too much. I don't think there is any overlap, but this one I wanted to do because I do like this remix. So that's by Naoshi Mizuta. Hotoda is doing the remix, and the vocals on that are they're not credited here, but Starting Over, I believe, is Joelle, if I'm remembering right.
Cool.
It's a banger in any case. So let's go.
Well, thank you for the refresher. It's been about 4 years since I listened to the last episode. So
Same, yeah.
Awesome.
constantly guiding despite the cost, hoping against fear when all is lost. Pity not my destiny, no. My sacrifice is worth this, to see you safe, to watch you grow. Visions of love, my only hope. This loneliness is worth the
one thing I was looking through the track list for the that Plus album, which they for all three of these, and I think a couple of the other Final Fantasy games around this time, they did like Plus albums, which had some like alternate takes and like demo versions of songs, as well as like remixes and stuff like that. We've previously played a track from this one when we did the Final Fantasy V Clash on the Big Bridge episode, where we played nothing just but different versions of Clash on the Big Bridge.
An absolute fucking classic, if I might add.
One of my favorite bonus episodes we've done for sure. But just on that, as a sentence that just sort of like, or not a sentence, but a title that is like, it is so in the time that this was released. So this was released in what, 2011, 2012? Yeah, 2012. So one of the tracks on it is Crazy Chocobo _ Ustream edit. Do you remember Ustream?
It rings a bell. It rings a bell.
It was a rival to Twitch. Well, Twitch at the time I think was Justin.tv.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, Ustream was like the rival to Twitch before Twitch just took over the whole thing. And like, yeah, that is again just such a like, Ustream was like really popular with fighting games in particular, as I recall. Like it was actually, it wasn't for until a bit later with like in fact, it might have even just been like a Japanese thing as well for the Ustream. But like there was just this weird divide in certain communities between whether they use Justin.tv or Ustream for their streams. And now everything's just on Twitch, which is whatever. We can't, we just have to live with that reality now. But like, it is just such an interesting sort of relic of the times to look at that and be like, oh yeah, this was. Like the when the game was being revealed, they did a Ustream stream, and then they played the Crazy Chocobo theme on it. So this was just like a slightly different edit, and it's just, yeah, it is weird to just think of these sort of dead relics of the internet.
Absolutely. I mean, it's sort of like I was not aware, I think, really of, because they were so. I don't want to call them marginal, but like not big websites. That it sort of was just like I was probably just as likely to not remember clicking either on a Ustream or a Justin.tv. It was just like, one of those streaming video sites. Those will never catch on. The internet will never evolve. So.
Yeah. Nobody's internet is good enough to just stream video like that the entire time.
No, and I just cannot fathom that ever being the case.
Yeah,
and it's like not that long ago, except it is.
Yeah, I mean it's 14 years, but I mean, yeah, it's just like it is just such an interesting thing to see sort of those, say those dead relics of the internet past, and like Yahoo streams, like going on to YouTube sometimes, and you see like Yahoo streams of concerts. So like Yahoo used to do like live streams of bands, and it was quite a trendy thing. It was like like the Tiny Desk of its day, I think. Like you can and like they were shit quality. If you can find those streams, like sometimes people have recorded them and they're available to watch, but like they are in the worst quality you've ever seen any video ever be in. Like
I have such a strong memory of watching like pirated video game trailers from E3 or some conference through Real Player. And Real Player just had like somebody recorded all of these streams from E3, and so you can unofficially view them here, and just watching them at like 63p full screen, just like the blurriest Master Chief you've ever seen. Yeah, I don't know. That's what it's interesting to have that embedded in Final Fantasy 13's sort of oeuvre, because I don't think I would have ever thought of Ustream ever again had it not.
Yeah, it is so weird because like I never think of it obviously, but like every now and then when I'm listening to this album, I look at it and be like, Oh yeah, Ustream was a website. I'm sure it probably exists now and has been like taken over by like some sort of Saudi Arabian like front that now uses it for God knows what to sell slaves or something like
No,
that. But like,
it's the new destination for SNK streaming.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, like again, just such a good soundtrack. I wanted to include some of the sort of the acoustic-y tracks from the soundtrack, just because they're ones that I have on like my nighttime playlist for when I just have a nice little relaxing sort of bit of music to listen to while I go to sleep. And like it's a little bit different to the rest of the soundtrack, because the rest of the soundtrack is very sort of electronic-y. There's some rock and stuff in it, but like it is very heavily electronic. There's a lot of synths going on. So like the couple of tracks that you get that are nice and acoustic are nice little moments.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
like the vocals are really, really nice as well. Like they did a good job of getting like really good vocalists to come in and do these tracks. I have no idea what the lyrics are in any of these songs, though. They could be plot related or they could be completely random. But like,
It feels
I
like
never.
it's certainly just in nature of sort of Final Fantasy and sort of JRPG lyricism, where it's just sort of like they do this in Final Fantasy 14, where you're like, I'm not sure whose point of view it is, but clearly we're talking about the goblins, and the goblins have a lot of emotions. There's mountain music, and so you just kind of accept the vibes. But for this, I feel it really works because of the very kind of lazy, not lazy in effort, but lazy kind of in pacing, like time story, and you're just kind of jumping through, and it just feels like this weird echo from some version of somebody throughout time, just being like wanting to be safe and feeling like you're just out in such complete unknowns or something like that. I'm always listening to the lyrics on this and being like, this makes no sense except that it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, like the whatever the actual lyrics may be, like the emotionality of like the performance and just the actual music itself does lend itself to something which I think is quite well done, because like a lot of the times you're hearing them over like dialogue scenes as well, so like you're not even necessarily hearing the lyrics in the game. Because like when you've got like Yeul's theme, for example, like most of the time it's during a scene that's a flashback where you're seeing like one of the many scenes where it's just Noel and Yeul and Caius just hanging out and doing their thing. And like yeah, it's again, it just sort of it adds emotionality to it, but
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily add meaning, I guess.
I So far the vast majority of the game has had the background music has lyrics in it. And
mm,
so it is sort of relegated to the background, and I only kind of like start paying attention to it when I've been in the status menu, like I mentioned.
yeah.
Sort of so like doing the team strategy chess stuff, and just being like, the song is beautiful. She just wants to feel safe. That's how relatable. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's interesting that they do sort of go with so vocal with it in terms of like the field music in particular. Um, like pretty much all of them, with like a couple of exceptions, have, especially like the earlier on themes, like the Sun of the Waterscape and the other big wide open area where it's stormy. I forget the name of it, but
Yeah.
like those earlier eras, and even like the first area as well of the game on the beach. New Bodom, is that what that area is called? I forget.
That is what the area is called.
Yeah. It's been a long time since I've played the game, so some of these details are escaping me. Yeah, looking at the original track list that we have here, yeah. So yeah, there was I think Starting Over, I think was the track that is from New Bodom. Now, obviously, the remix version that we just played there isn't, but we played that on the original episode. But like, yeah, those sort of opening areas do sort of have that more vocal range to them. And I like how they do it as well. The way I did it in the first episode was, and I probably won't do it on this one, is I mixed the tracks together, but they did like a regular mix and an aggressive mix for each track. The regular mix just sort of is the regular song, and then like when an enemy has spotted you and you're either deciding whether you're going to get into a battle with it or trying to escape, it goes into like the aggressive version, which is like a double time beat, and it's got like harder drums and a bit more of again just more of a beat to it. Like that's a cool way they've sort of done it to sort of get you pumped up for the actual battle then once it comes. No battle theme in this one, actually, unfortunately, but the battle theme for this game slaps. It is like a nice little riff on the original 13's battle theme. It's got like the sort of the rock opening, but then you've got that really nice just little violin melody that goes through it, which sort of, yeah, it's a really, really cool track. I don't know where I was going with that, but oh yeah, just the like the way they split the opening, or sorry, the field music between the normal and the aggressive mix is a really cool little touch that they added to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I like kind of wanting to pick out my favorite, at least sort of like so far, is that in Oerba, Oerba. There's the track there is called Village and Void, and that's the one I'm referencing about, if I fail, will no one come to save me, stuff like that. And you're just like in this like empty, like, and the mission when you first arrive here is just sort of like figure out what happens. And this is the first time you fight Caius, and so it's very much leaning into the sort of like time, void ravaged wastelands of time, and with vocals by Joelle. We don't have a track there. It's in the first one, but highly.
It's in the first one, yeah.
Yeah, and it's in it. They're incredible tracks, and I don't know, it's just repeating myself, but I am just really struck by how distinct the vocals in so many of the tracks make the game. And it's just like a constant extra sort of instrument in the background. And it's I think that thing's not easy to pull off. I think that it's very easy for stuff like that to be distracting. And it's and sometimes my attention is pulled weirdly by it, but I don't feel it's distracting.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing to pull off. We've probably talked about it when we've done like Persona games as well, where just like a lot of those have vocal tracks for parts of the game where you're just going to hear music repeating over and over. Like they do, Persona does it for battle themes, which is again just an absolutely bonkers trick to be able to pull off, but they somehow manage it. Like these tracks that you're going to hear over and over again, just somehow manage to still just slap every time you get into another battle.
You're fucking grinding up your Crystarium points, just listening to these vocal tracks, and it's just like you never get tired.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of those, so I think we'll jump into this little smaller block. Well, smaller block. I've got 4 tracks. They're the same 2 tracks. One is the normal and aggressive mix for each of them. So we have all by Mitsuto Suzuki. The first 2 are Augusta Tower and Augusta Tower aggressive mix, and then Parallel Worlds and Parallel Worlds aggressive mix. always fun listening to those sort of like full versions of songs where you normally only get to hear like a couple of seconds of a clip each time, just because
Yeah.
of the way you actually hear it in the game is always just like the. I think you're like 3 or 4 seconds before you either escape from the battle or you get sucked into it. So like, in the game, it's really well done because it always seamlessly transitions between one to the other, which I think is quite well done. And like you'll hear it there the way they did sequenced it in the album, as well as the tracks do run into each other. Like the end of the first tracks, you can sort of hear the aggressive mix coming through, whereas they're a little bit more of a sharp once the sort of the battle is getting ready to start, you hear the aggressive mix. So there's whatever they've managed to do with it, that it always sort of, it will switch between the two at the exact moment that you're at in the song, which is really well done.
Yeah.
It's a cool little effect.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like that's the case for a lot of the stuff flowing into each other in the game, a lot of the music, where it's even if I don't know, it's clear that some thought has been put into it. We're like going from the time world uh to the various choices that you have, and the sort of like the different vibes each universe has. It's they always match the world that they're in, but the tone is so cohesive that even when there's something that's a bit more disparate, it still feels all part of a whole. And I definitely and I agree with you that the battle music is it transitions quite nicely.
Yeah, it's a cool. It's really well done. And it's just a really sort of good way that they've incorporated the music into the game, to sort of like, just sort of whatever moment is happening, whether you're just sort of running around exploring or whether you're getting ready for a battle, it's just sort of it gives you that transitional, because like uh, it's in old RPGs, like your transitions between your just exploration and the actual battles were often quite abrupt. And it's cool that they sort of they tried to make it a little bit less of an abrupt change. Like even just thinking of like in Final Fantasy X, you just like somebody just comes along with a hammer and smashes your screen. To start every battle.
Yeah.
And if you're just it is one of the more frustrating things of playing old school RPGs, or any RPGs, JRPGs in particular, of that type of just like, sometimes you just want to explore, you just want to just be unbothered while you explore, and having to deal with random battles while you do so is a nuisance. So I always enjoy when games like this, or any game that sort of gives you a way to either just completely avoid random battles if you want to, or at the very least doesn't sort of constantly force you to be in battles. Like there's one part of this game, and it is later, is one of the, I think it's Academia 400 maybe, where you are just constantly having to battle through it, and like every battle is a slog. It is quite a nuisance, and you have to sort of go through it because it's this sort of weird hub area of the game, where like you keep having to go through different parts of it, and it gets quite frustrating once you've gone through it a couple of times, because like most of the battles, if not all of them, are completely unavoidable.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's for a reason, like thematically and plot wise, like this place has just been overrun by monsters, so you just sort of have to deal with fighting them. But like if you just want to explore it, or if you need to find the shards, I think they're shards, just to like to unlock more of the gates, like it's quite a nuisance to get through. But other than that, for the most part, it's exploring this game is quite chill. It's nice.
Absolutely, and sort of like you were talking before, the transition from the aggressive mix to the regular mix. When you're running from monsters, it has a nice flow to it, because you're sort of like, okay, I'm just going to cross the map. I haven't unlocked chocobos yet. And so you're just like, it kicks into high gear, and you're like, all right, time to avoid these dogs or whatever. And
Hmm.
I also quite enjoy how the music vibes when you get on the chocobo and you don't no longer have random encounters on the
Yeah.
chocobo, and you're like a little bit faster. You can jump and float, but it's not like crazy. You're still just kind of like you being on the chocobo is what makes it faster, because you don't have like encounters or to worry about that.
Yeah.
But what I enjoy about the chocobo music, which we played on the first one, is that it's one of those situations where you're probably not getting to the chocobo theme we know and love while you're on the chocobo, because there's so much preamble and
Yeah.
vibing, and then it's just like, all right, we've been riding for 2 minutes, you've earned a treat. Do 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 do.
Yeah.
It's like it's honestly inspired, where it's they're doing their own thing, and they're just like they toss in the chocobo's theme the same way a band would toss in like their big hit song as an encore.
Yeah. Although when you do the aggressive chocobos, the red chocobos, you get the crazy chocobo theme, which immediately just goes straight into the heaviest chocobo theme rendition you've ever heard. And I'm pretty
Well,
sure we
good,
included that in the list as well. It's
good. That's in the
yeah,
first
there it
one,
is.
yeah.
Yeah, you had groovy chocobo and then crazy chocobo. I love crazy chocobo. It's such a silly, silly song.
I've yet to encounter those, so I forgot about Crazy
Oh
Chocobo.
yeah,
But
yeah. Just the lyrics for that are those are very specifically about how rad it is to be a crazy chocobo and how it's going to make it life difficult for you to ride this chocobo.
you know what? That's so fucking valid. If I was a Crazy Chocobo, God, I would live to torture humans, to give them a hard time. So
Yeah,
valid.
yeah. I'm just on the Genius page now for it. There's sadly no Genius annotations,
I'm gonna add some
but
to
yeah,
these notes.
if uh, yeah, do yourself a favor, go look at the lyrics for Crazy Chocobo on Genius. I'll put a link in the show notes because it is, yeah, again. I was talking earlier about whether it's hard to get a perspective on the vocal tracks. But the Crazy Chocobo theme very much has its own perspective on what's going on for sure.
So cute yet fierce, is he from hell? I cannot tell, yet I don't even want to know. It's okay. I'm
Yeah.
sold.
It fucking whips ass. I love it. People were genuinely mad about this at the time. Like I
Of
remember people
course,
just
of
fucking
course.
seething. They were like, "This is disrespectful to the Chocobo theme," and blah blah blah. Like, go fuck yourself. That song
Yeah,
rules. It's silly as hell.
um yeah, that's kind of what I've noticed about this era of games is usually what everyone got mad at was either sort of like incredibly understandable, blatantly obvious, or the coolest thing you've ever seen or heard, and was just, bucking tradition, and gamers got mad and could not differentiate between the two, and so
Yeah,
gaming became the cesspool it is today. It's your fault, people who left bad reviews for Final Fantasy 13 too.
sadly, yes, it is your fault. Um, Gamergate happened a mere 2 years later.
Yeah. I mean,
Coincidence.
coincidence?
A game with a girl with it got bad reviews.
Yeah, 1000%. I did Google Final Fantasy 13 2, and you know how the AI just sticks its fucking beak in everything.
Yeah.
And one of the like questions that just like popped up in the middle of my search results, a lot of standard questions and then in the middle it's just like, is Final Fantasy 13 too woke? And then it says it's not woke, and then they're like, although some disagree due to the female protagonist. But since she's fighting a Jennifer, I don't know what that means. It's not woke. And I don't know. I certainly was in hell, and was not a red chocobo when I read that.
That is, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure somebody has gone through the entire game. But it's got an attractive woman on it, so that's sometimes good, but also that's also woke because they haven't fully decided, I think, what they think is woke or not. Excuse me, sorry, big yawn out of me there. Getting quite late here, so I think we'll jump into the next block of tracks here. So I have by Naoshi Mizuta, The Last Hunter, which is I think it's like a special boss theme. I forget exactly where it's used. It might be the Caius boss battle themes. Again, it's been a long time since I've played this game, so a lot of these tracks have sort of have been divorced from context at this point because I've listened to this soundtrack a whole bunch, but have not played the game probably in about 6 or 7 years fully. I think but shortly before we did the first episode, I might have done like a quick refresher with myself on it, but I definitely didn't do like a full replay of it in the last while. Overdue doing that. I might have to look into getting more time in with the game. So then the next track we have is Eternal War by Masashi Hamauzu, and then by Naoshi Mizuta we have Labyrinth of Chaos and Oracle Drive. Good idea to turn on my mic.
Beautiful.
I love, with those last two tracks as well. They're like, they're a little bit more experimental, I guess, in terms of the way they sound. But like, one thing I like about both of them is sort of just the weird little sound effects they incorporate, like, especially the Oracle Drive one, because like the Oracle Drives in the story are, I don't know if you've come across them yet, but they're just like memory cubes, I guess, is probably the best thing to describe them as. So like people would like transfer their memories into them, and visions and stuff like that from Yeul would be put into them. And that's where you'd see like you'd like they'd have like prophecies and stuff like that. But like the idea being musically then that you sort of have these sort of fragments of memory and fragments of these prophecies sort of coming through as the music plays, I guess. Like you just get these weird little sort of noises and sounds and what sounds like maybe people talking and transmissions and stuff. It's kind of an interesting sort of like soundscape as far as that goes. And yeah, it just makes for a really, really cool sound.
Absolutely. I haven't gotten to that point in the game yet, but I can definitely see the vision as you describe it, especially sort of like how much of the game is already about memory. And they sort of like, they dropped the huge bomb that the future affects the past.
Yeah.
And so it's very fun with the way it plays with that. And I think that this music bears that out.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And then like the battle theme, just a real banger. And just I was saying that I loved playing that in Theatrhythm. Battle themes are probably my favorite things to do in Theatrhythm. I just like I like that style of the rhythm game more than I liked the field themes. I feel like that's probably a whole other episode that we have to do at some point.
Yeah.
Is just an excuse to talk about some weirdo Final Fantasy music that we probably won't get around to. But those games are great. Naturally, have absolutely incredible soundtracks. But yeah, just I enjoy the battle theme versions just because they're a lot more fun a lot of the time. Which isn't to say that the other ones aren't, but it's just a different
it's
vibe
a much
the way
more
they're handled.
Sorry, it's a much more snappy and engaging experience for sure. I enjoy the sort of like languid way they frame the field themes, where there's a lot of like pressing and holding down on the stylus while you go up or down to try to like match the line more so. And the battle themes are a lot more tap 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 tap. Which I as an Elite Beat Agents acolyte, I think is very understandable. Is very lovable.
Yeah, I do love the tappa tappa tara for sure.
Well, I don't have a lot of extra stuff to say about Final Fantasy 13-2 if you sort of reached the ceiling of my experience with the game. Other than to say that sort of like it was great returning to this, and it's a great reason to sort of think about our history as the 100 episodes have gone on. And like I remember in the first one having no experience with it and just being like so charmed with it, and that was sort of like, to me anyways, the birth of the idea as sort of like you don't have time for every game, but you can explore video games and kind of like get to know more about everyone's favorite hobby by listening to soundtracks that for games that you'll never play, or just be on that vector. And just sort of like also using it as a method of discovery, just being like I did kind of I played it because we had this episode coming up and it felt appropriate, but also I was drawn to it just because you would put it on there and then we listened to it together, and I was like, oh, this is actually extremely baller, and I'm gonna have like a spiritual experience listening to the music no matter what the game is. And that's borne out to be true. Which is all to say, happy 100, Tom.
Yeah, happy 100 to you. It's been an absolute blast for the last 4 years doing it.
it is my favorite part of every weekend. Just getting on here with you and just listen to some tunes, shooting the shit. If you'd
Yeah.
asked me on our episode 1, would we last 4 years, 100 episodes? I would have said absolutely. It's I felt that there's been like there was sort of like its birth, which was me very furtively just being like the devil on your shoulder, just being like, start a podcast with me, Tom. Why don't you just make your playlists and then let me come on while you play the music, and just gab on whatever random things on my mind. And it felt, and you were just like, let's fucking do it. You have clearly, like, you can tell me how true it is, but it's clear that you're someone who loves to make playlists and put them on, put on a little show for everybody. And this seems like an incredible venue for you to do so. Every single episode has you arrange the playlist when guests bring the songs that or the soundtracks. You arrange the playlist. And if I wonder if you could just talk about very briefly the process in your mind of like what goes into the average CRT sound system playlist.
I genuinely just vibe it most of the time because like there's other like it really depends on the soundtrack as well. Like there's obviously times where I'm like, okay, I have to include these 4 or 5 tracks. Like these are really important to like the game, the history of the game or whatever. So like it's then sort of just trying to find the flow between the tracks then at that point. And like I get a lot of it is just vibes. Sometimes I'll just like listen to the start and the end of a track and just sort of see which ones will sort of match up in a way that I think works for me. Sometimes I'll just take like a theme for a block and just like stick them all together and not really think about it too hard.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I wish I could say I had a proper process, but like with all of my playlisting, I really just put stuff together in the way that it feels right to me. And like, I'm glad that it usually works out that people are happy with the way I've sequenced stuff, because I know that there's like a lot of people are very sort of particular about how tracks are sequenced in a playlist. And for me to just be like, I'm just here vibe coding it, where I'm just like, these 2 tracks sound good together, and that's where they're going to go together, and that works for plenty of games. And then other times I want to like be like, okay, this is a battle theme block, or this is a field theme block, or whatever, where I want to have them more like that. And sometimes I like to just be like, all right, this is 4 random tracks that are just sort of that are important that I include because I think they're bang, and that's all the reason. So these are going to go in this block together.
The oftentimes with one of the remix tracks.
Yeah, and then obviously like trying to track down things like remixes and stuff like that is always just is part of it. like I do just love trying to find the sort of weird ephemera, the Ustream edit, the weird remixes that they include on an album that like 5 people bought in the 90s. But yeah, I try not to think about it too hard, because if I did, I think then I would sort of I'd make it a job for myself at that point, and then I'm like, no, this no longer becomes enjoyable to me, because if once I have like a process, whereas if I can just sit down and just like listen to a soundtrack and then sort of pick out the pieces that appeal to me and sort of find the tracks that feel like they have a link to each other, whether it's thematic or musical or again just sort of a vibe based thing. That's sort of what I go with on it.
No, that makes perfect sense, and I think you're letting the blocks sort of be the organizational tent pole, and then sort of like just letting the music speak for itself around it.
Yeah.
So sort of like the four best battle themes, and so simple and clean's got to be in there somewhere if we were to do Kingdom Hearts, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And for me, my next question is sort of like curious about your big memory you have of the past 100 episodes. I'll while you think about that, I'll give you 2. One is the Silent Hill 2 episode where we got fucking immensely blazed, and I felt like I was trapped in Silent Hill.
Yeah.
I haven't gone back to listen to it, but I feel like our dialogue is like, "Whew, that's fucking crazy." Here's the next block. Like we were not very articulate, but it was such a good time.
Yeah.
And the second one, I have to say, was when great friend of the show, Ash, came on for the Cyberpunk episode.
Mm.
And the reason that is, it's sort of, a great episode with Ash, but it sort of really sparked my interest to actually sort of like get over my haterism for Cyberpunk, because I was such a fucking hater, and I don't think for the worst reasons. But I have done my mea culpa. I'm 100% wrong. I beat Phantom Liberty the other day, and it was one of the fucking greatest video game experiences of my life. I am constantly thinking about the music of the game. The end credits music to Phantom Liberty, as you sit and just sort of reckon with what you've done. It's not a happy DLC in the best way possible. And then sort of just like all the we didn't cover it in the episode, but all the sort of radio station music. Exploring the different radio stations has always led to at least one song I absolutely love. And it's like always like really interesting to have that stuff on in the background while you're just driving around thinking about what you've done in Night City or what the various sort of hijinks you get up to. And then the orchestra tracks or the proper soundtrack stuff is great as well. And so it's just, I don't think I ever would have gotten around to Cyberpunk 2077 without it. And it's one of my favorite games now. So
hell yeah, absolutely. I know. I do remember in just we trying. I could sort of feel you coming around to it as we were doing the episode, and then like a couple of days later, maybe even like a week or two later, you just came to me like, "Yeah, I've just been playing Cyberpunk the entire time since we finished," and I thought, that is cool, because I think even by the time the episode was out, you had finished the game, because you were like, "No, I'm all in on Cyberpunk now."
I didn't finish the game, but I had gotten a lot. I got pretty deep in, and then I just started doing every side gig, and then I put it down for a while. Then I picked it up and did Phantom Liberty, and now I've done almost every piece of side content, and I'm finishing the game.
That's very cool. I think the Final Fantasy VIII episode, for very similar reasons to the Silent Hill 2 episode, I got entirely too blazed on it, and I just remember just listening to like Maybe I'm a Lion and just like being completely just transfixed by it, because that song is absolutely incredible. And the other thing that always is just a really funny memory to me is the reveal on the Spyro episode of who Stuart Copeland's dad is.
Oh my god, I forgot about that. That was really
and your
funny.
reaction to it.
That fucking blew my mind. It's my reaction to that is ongoing. It's still just like a yeah, and I think too, just thinking about my reaction to the first Final Fantasy 13-2 episode, where there's it makes more sense in the context of what we've listened to today. But in the other one, there's one where she's kind of like semi-rapping over one of the tracks.
Yeah.
And just being so fucking overjoyed at that track and kind of coming to it and having such an understanding of it now. I don't know. I've loved doing this podcast with you, Tom, and I don't think I have any other big questions.
No.
What's the number one? What's our most listened to episode?
Let's let me pull up the analytics page here. Hold on. Can I sort this by episodes? This is riveting listening here. So hold on.
Well, I mean, maybe we'll cut
sort by most downloaded. Now this The Tekken 3 episode as on the new feed. I don't know what it would have been on the old feed. I think maybe at one point it was the Paradise Killer episode, I think was the most downloaded. But the top
I know.
three.
Mhm.
Oh, go on.
I think at one point, you said the Jammer Lammy episode was the top one.
That was
for a while.
up there at one point as well. Tekken 3, Phantasy Star Classic, and Final Fantasy 9 are the top three.
All great episodes, all great soundtracks.
Yeah, all great episodes. Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
but yeah,
I think we're getting time to close out, but
yeah,
happy 100. Thank you all to everybody listening for giving us a reason to keep going. It's sort of like such a, it's weird being kind of a pretty small, even among VGM podcasts, just production that's just chugging along and just sort of like so rewarding for us. And just shout out to Conky, who always lets me know when he's catching up on the past like 12 episodes working on his car. It's been incredible. So thank you. And one final plea. If you enjoy the show, come on the show. Be part of our episodes 101 to 200.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there enough music in Final Fantasy 13 to do a third episode?
No, but I would love to do like a cleanup episode and do like the first soundtrack and the third soundtrack because, as mentioned, absolute like very like these are all just the same soundtrack in many ways. Like they are the same artists or the same composers. A lot of very similar tracks. The same character themes and motifs appear throughout all of them. Like Blinded by the Light, the Final Fantasy, the first 13, the battle theme is like top 3 Final Fantasy battle theme for me. It is so good. It's all 3 of these soundtracks are great. I would love to do Lightning Returns at some point. I'd love to do the first game. I think I want to try and find a guest who's interested in talking about those though, because I don't think we can wring much out of this game at this point.
I think we need a fresh
maybe
perspective.
Once you finish, to get a different perspective. Yeah, maybe get on a hater who likes the soundtrack. Who can say?
All great ideas. Okay, my final question. I've gotten a lot of emails about this. This isn't me asking. Are we going to have a Final Fantasy 14 episode at some point in the next 100 episodes?
I would love to. I think that one is it's hard because where the fuck do you start with Final Fantasy 14? Like
you start with the Honey Be Lovely theme and go from there.
Yeah, like I would love to do it, but the soundtrack is it's large. Like even just picking one, like even if I just picked like the Shadowbringers soundtrack, just paring that down to an hour of music would feel like a really impossible task. So trying to figure out how you'd actually try and cover Final Fantasy 14, and not to be comprehensive, but to sort of feel like you've given it some justice is a very difficult prospect to think about. Like it would almost certainly have to be multiple episodes. Like maybe we'd just do like a month of episodes. It's been a while since I've had the drive to arrange to try and do like a month of episodes where we do one every week. But like maybe that might have to be the way we do Final Fantasy 14. Maybe we just have to do like an episode every day for a month, to be honest. Like just to be sure we're hitting all the hate. Because I'm like even like outside of Final, like the MMO, like MMOs have like so many soundtracks. Like I would love to do a Phantasy Star Online 2 episode, but there are 10 soundtracks. 10 soundtracks the last time I checked, and that was about 3 years ago. There's probably at least 2 more soundtracks for Phantasy Star 2, and like those soundtracks are incredible. Again, just trying to even think of trying to pare those down for an hour episode is gives me a headache.
No, I posted in one. I suggested at some point we do RuneScape because it's the biggest soundtrack of all time and by Guinness Book of World Record standards.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
And and just to kind of like match your point of it's crazy how large these soundtracks are, and they're good. Like, I would never suggest doing a World of Warcraft episode just because it would be, it would be low class of us. But the music is actually great, and there's a ton of it. So it's just the kind of thing where it's like the scope of the podcast sometimes can't fit these soundtracks in our mouth rather.
No. For sure.
Cool.
All right. I don't think I'm going to bother with any plugs this week because I cannot be bothered.
Listen to the podcast.
Listen to the podcast you're currently listening to. Have a good one, everyone. We're going to go out with this last track, which is from the original soundtrack plus, again, where that remix came from earlier, which is Noel's theme, the guitar demo version. Good night, Reese. It's been an absolute pleasure for the last 100 episodes. Let's try for another 100, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Good night, Tom. It's been a killer 4 years. Bye.
Take care.